Karen, you just don't want it bad enough.
Yes.
It just doesn't, when you get sick of being fat and you get sick of what you see in the mirror, then you'll do it. But because she wanted me, she said, what could you say to motivate me? I'm not going to stand here and motivate. Like, what? You got to look in your mirror naked when ain't nobody around and say, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel because I'm having too much sugar. And I just kind of shrugged and just said, it's just not your time.
I'm Christy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome back to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle with Christy Code Red and Carrie. I'm going to quit saying I'm the host because, Carrie, you're there with me almost on every single episode. Whatever. Like, what's the point? Let's just make sure that you're it's with Christy and Carrie. But thank you for being with me.
You're welcome. And I want to tell everyone my favorite thing to do on Wednesday mornings is to watch the podcast while I am making Sergeant Major breakfast. Yes. I put my phone up in the little holder. I put my AirPods in, Christy, and I watch the podcast. It is my favorite thing to do, hands down.
It is. It's like, is that weird that we like to listen to our own podcast? I don't know if that's weird, but you know what it does for me? When I listen to the daily challenge videos and the podcast, it reaffirms what we believe. It's like a daily recommitment.
Absolutely. And it does for me too. And I find myself going, that's right. You go, Carrie. Christy, that's exactly right. And then I'm like, okay, I am talking to my phone with my AirPods in by myself in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. I do the same thing. And I think that's a great segue into today's podcast, you guys. We're talking about it being a choice, not a feeling. Because I just said we recommit daily, and that's what it helps me with the challenge videos, because we have our foundational core beliefs and values that we'll always teach no matter what. And it is being a Code Red Rebel and really many other areas of our life. It boils down to being a choice and not a feeling.
And I think this is where people get mixed up, Christy, is when your motivation is rooted in the hype, you're going to struggle when things get hard. When your motivation is rooted in the noise and the group and the excitement and the videos and the prizes and the Q&As, then you're going to struggle when things get hard. And this is what we notice on a daily basis.
Everything's exciting in the beginning. I mean, I've been with my husband, Miles, for almost 10 years. And I mean, just, being around him. In fact, he's in the other room, I'm sure, listening. He might pop his head around the corner and look at me as I talk about this. But, in the beginning, of course, when we all met our spouses, when we all got into our relationships with our partners, in the beginning, of course, my heart would pound and I'd get sweaty and my knees would get weak every time he walked in the room. But like Joyce Myers says, after 50 years of marriage to Dave, my knees don't get weak when he walks in the room, and so definitely, and he's looking at me right now. Yeah, I know it. And I know that's and we love our spouses. That's not thing, but we commit to the relationship, whether we get weak-kneed or not.
Exactly, Christy. And we find that when people start a challenge, of course, we want you to join the challenge because you are excited about, there are some fun things on a challenge. The Q&As are fun. We give away Redmond Real Salt. We give away Outer Isle Gourmet. Bing, just teasing. We give away, Ultima. So we're giving away. It's fun. People are excited. You're losing weight. You're detoxing together. You're growing together. So I don't want to discount that is not a very real thing. That is not a really real thing. But Christy, it's like getting married because you want the big party of a wedding.
Ooh.
And not being prepared for the realities of what marriage is really like. And that is the exact same thing as weight loss. Is we don't start a weight loss program because of all this fun and shish boom ba and woohoo. Because let me tell you, 2 a.m. is going to strike and you're going to get up for something to drink and those Doritos are going to call your name from the cupboard. And there's nobody around. There's no videos. There's no, you get a Redmond real salt. You get a, there's no one cheering you on. So it's got to be about something deeper than just the excitement of the initial part of being that part of that process.
And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it happens to you. Because it's going to happen to you. You will be tempted to stray in some way, shape, or form of every single area of your life. And you remember when you first gave your life to Christ, right? Like when you first came to Jesus and you were so exciting. It was so exciting because you found out that Jesus had died on the cross for your sins and that he loved you so much that he died for us and that he's coming back someday and that we can live enjoying our life and we get to live with that bigger hope in that support system and that somebody loves us no matter what, the true unconditional love. So when you first give your life to Christ and you first learn all this stuff, it's really incredible, and you're hearing from God and you're being guided by God and everything's a miracle and everything's big and then you get into your walk with Christ and life just kind of takes over and you don't have those fuzzy feelings anymore. You don't have that, and it's kind of like, so it can apply to anything: your marriage, your walk with Christ, your weight loss journey, all these things. Oh, how about when you've had your first baby and it's so exciting and you have the baby shower and all this stuff and then you get into the groove. I mean, it can apply to so many different things, but then once you start getting into the everyday motion of things, it just gets mundane and you could lose that. That's why we don't go by feelings, because the feelings are going to go away, those warm, fuzzy feelings.
Christy, I love what you just said about I'm not laughing about committing your life to God or whatever your religion is, because we used to go to church camp, y'all. This is back in the day. This is when church camp was, da, 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 da. I mean, it was a big old, y'all, we were raised Pentecostal. It was rolling the aisles. It was, everyone was
tambourines
over. I mean, so I remember the preacher saying, if you can serve Jesus when you get home from camp, that's what's important. If you can serve Jesus when you go back to your school and everybody's sinning and talking about marijuana and smoking cigarettes, those are the things that are going to send you straight to hell when we were kids. If you were imbibing on that alcohol, if you can serve Jesus when nobody else from your youth group is still serving Jesus, then that's what the real thing is. And I remember like, oh God, help me serve you once I get home from the camp and I'm with Carol and Larry Terhurst and all the temptations that they have. Like, what? We didn't have any of that. So I don't know what I was thinking, but that is true. If you can stay on track when it's Margarita Monday, that's when you have true commitment. If you can stay on track when you get home from church camp, when you get home from Code Red Live, that's the true test.
You wonder why every single contestant on The Biggest Loser, except for one, I think it was on 11 seasons. Every single contestant except for one, and even this one gained a little bit. Every single one gained their weight back. Every single one. And you wonder why that is. It's because on The Biggest Loser Ranch, where there are cameras everywhere, where you're in lockdown, where you can't go anywhere, there's no birthdays or cruises or anniversaries or parties. There's nothing going on. You're just there to train, to eat, and to sleep. Right. You of course you can lose weight. And these guys are losing 15 pounds a week, They're losing a massive amount of weight. And don't get me started on that. But they're not in the real world. They are around only people that are thinking exactly like them. They don't have any temptations from the real world. And then they come home, they lose their weight, they win, they come home and immediately start gaining their weight back because it's coming home from church camp.
It is. It's coming home from church camp. Okay, remember that time I sang that DC Talk song on here? I won't sing another one. Y'all could be saved from that. But back in the day, guys, like the 90s, DC Talk had a song called Love is a Verb. Mm-hmm. And I love that because love is a verb. It's not a feeling. It's an action. The same thing. And guys, the same thing applies to weight loss. it's action. It's not just that wiggly jiggly excited. Maybe this time it'll work. But let me be clear. You need those excited moments. Like you need those, and I'm not saying Biggest Loser, but you need those Biggest Loser moments. You need those Q&A giveaways. You need those weak need moments because that's what gets us started. But what keeps you going? What keeps you going?
And in the, we, at the time of this recording, we just came off a series of 5 after hours with Christy events where we all got to get together.
It was church camp.
It was church camp. Yeah. It was church camp for Rebels. Right. And it was so fun because all of our love cups got filled up. I mean, they did, and that's what's going to kind of keep us all going. We were all feeling so down and we couldn't see each other for all of lockdown, for all of COVID, for the whole year. At the time we're recording this in August in 2020 and all of the whole year has been, we couldn't get together with anybody and we desperately needed that. So you will need times where you need your love cup filled. You're like, and same thing like with your walk with Christ. I know you're like, God, I need to hear from you. I need something right now. You've been a Christian for 23 years or you've been serving God for all these years and you've just been kind of going through the motions and you need your love cup full. And every one of us we need that date with our husband. We need that after hours with Christy. We need that time when God touches you and you feel it. We need that time where our boss recognizes us and says, you know what, you are doing a fantastic job. Numbers are up. Morale is up. Everything looks good. Company's running good. We all need that touch from God, quote unquote. We need that moment and that helps fill us up.
So we're not saying don't have your church camp moments. We're just saying when that wears away, you're going to have to figure out something else that keeps you going. And it has to be, we've talked about intrinsic motivation on Christy's podcast before. We've talked about being intrinsically motivated, but there has to be something intrinsic. Christy and I were raised, we were spanked. Okay. I'm just going to say it. And I was talking about, you can't be spanking kids when they're 12 and 13. And someone, I won't name them, looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, there comes a point when they need to obey because it's the right thing to do. And you just can't go around I'm not advocating abuse. Please know that. But we were raised being spanked. When there comes a point where that's not the motivation. It has to be because at 13, my God, let's hope they know that we don't kick the cat. I mean, let's hope they understand these things. So there has to be that intrinsic learning that takes place with any kind of journey where you go, I'm going to keep going when no one's watching because this is the right thing to do for me. I was just talking to someone the other day that was struggling with her weight loss journey, had lost weight, regained it, and now was struggling to get back where she was. And I said, at this point, it needs to not be about the way you look. And it needs to become the fact that every time you eat a meal, this is a diabetic, Christy, every time you eat a meal that you shouldn't, you're putting yourself closer to dying rather than longevity. So you're shortening your life instead of lengthening your life. So when that becomes your church camp moment, folks, you don't need the bells and whistles because you say things are so busy with the kids. They're getting so much older. Well, do you want to spend time with those kids? Then being a type 2 diabetic, you're damaging your body every time you choose not to eat correctly. And that's just the truth of it, guys. So you have to look beyond those moments of fitting into that size 6 or looking great for your wedding or 5 pounds to the beach bod. You have to look past that crap and those church camp moments, which are still very valid, to what is my life going to look like when I can get on top of this weight problem?
We talk about the why that makes you cry. We've done a podcast on that already. And some of you guys will remember old school Code Red when I was the only one that was coaching. And then when I couldn't handle the amount of rebels, I asked Carrie to co-coach with me. And then Carrie took a group and I took a group and we just had to keep, and that's how we brought on coaches. But old school Code Red was really aggressive and very, very, very intense. And I was intense. And I remember, I remember looking at the camera like, are you kidding me? And I would call people out by name. I would get so angry with them. I would get so just disappointed and frustrated. And I can't believe this. What kind of crack show you think I'm running here? This isn't a charity. Do I look like Marie Osmond to you? You knock this crap off. And I mean, I really would get on people's case hard, and Carrie would too. We were both very hard on Rebels and nowadays we've shifted Code Red because neither of us have the grace for that anymore. We don't have the grace to yell at people anymore. And some people, 50% of people, like that we do our let's celebrate Friday night calls. We call them calls, but they're not an actual phone with a cord or anything. It's a video. It's all done on video, and it's a let's celebrate. We celebrate the top people that lost the most amount of weight, and we don't scream at people anymore. We don't. Carrie and I, we just don't have the grace. And so 50% of the people, they love the fact that we're not screaming at them. And 50% of the people need that screaming. And so it bothers me that people need that screaming still. Yes, they need that aggressive, God dang it, what is wrong with you? I can't believe you. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm 44 now. I've been doing Code Red for a lot of years. So is Carrie. We just don't want to do that with people anymore. And more importantly, why do you need that aggressive from Carrie and Christy? Why do you need it? It is what I'm not always going to be here to slap the donut out of your mouth.
There's a difference between Christy making someone accountable. So they need to turn in their weight each week, and they need to be held accountable for their weight, and being like calling them out hardcore when they don't. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. Let me go a little deeper. Let me go down this rabbit hole just a little bit longer. Is the reason that we don't in society steal and kill because we think that it's against the law, or is we don't do it because we just know it's not the right thing to do? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about intrinsic motivation. You need to be willing to lose weight, not because you think the police are going to come after you, but because you don't want to go to the grave early, because you want to play with your grandkids, because you don't want to take shots 6 times a day. That needs to be your motivation, not because Christy might yell at you, not because you can't zip up a size 6, although that is a motivator too. I'm just saying. It's the same point. There has to be something bigger than the cis boom raw that keeps you on the path to taking your life back.
With Code Red corporate programs, Code Red corporate comes with a kickoff party with me in person. We've done a couple of Zoom kickoff parties. The company chooses to do that, but Code Red corporate is a great program. And recently, a couple of days ago, I flew out to do a kickoff party and for a Code Red corporate program that was getting ready to launch. And so I stood there in the front of the room, and this lady said to me, she said, I've lost 55 pounds and I've gained half the back, and I just can't seem to find the motivation anymore to want to lose the rest. And I said, in the past, I would have said, God dang it. I can't believe you. Are you kidding me? You did and I would have really, I would have gotten worked up. My blood pressure would have gotten up, and I would have just really gotten on this case. I would never disrespect somebody. I would never call somebody names. I would never shame them, but I would really have gotten on our case hard in the past. Nowadays, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, Karen, it wasn't a Karen, but we call everybody Karen. Karen, you just don't want it bad enough.
Yes.
It just doesn't, when you get sick of being fat and you get sick of what you see in the mirror, then you'll do it. But because she wanted me, she said, what could you say to motivate me? I'm not going to stand here and motivate. What? You got to look in your mirror naked when ain't nobody around and say, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel because I'm having too much sugar. And I just kind of shrugged and just said, it's just not your time.
Nope. And that is why I hesitate. And Christy, the great Christy has taught me that when anyone emails us and is like, I want my husband John to do Code Red, or I want my big teenager Sally to do Code Red, I'm always like, red flags, red flags, red flags, because your mama can't want it more than you. Your wife can't want it more than you. And Christy and I can't want it more than you. Either you want to lose weight, you want to stay on the straight and narrow, you want to take your life back, or you don't. But us yelling at you, if you weren't going to do it anyway, is not, because guess what? Someday we're not yelling. What keeps you from going and grabbing a dozen of Krispy Kreme donuts?
What keeps you from doing that? We're not here. We're playing the long game here, guys. We're not here to make your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend jealous. We're just not doing that. This is why we like dealing with people that are a little bit more mature audience, because they tend to be done with that area of their life, And I just had a thought. Come on, Christy. I just had a thought. Just leave my mind. I mean,
I know. No, that happens to me.
My Rebel for Lifers, I always think money, motivated by money, like, well, if I put out enough money or whatever, but I noticed that money doesn't motivate people like I thought that they would. Like, I think to myself, you're putting out $1,000 for a custom program. Why would you not do it? And then even taking it further, my Rebel for Life program is my VIP program. And these people are putting out $4 or $5 grand for this program. And yet they're still not following the program. And that amazes me. So it has to be really, really, really deep. It has to hit you on a much deeper level in order to keep you going. Because I tell you, $4 grand doesn't seem to hurt enough for some people.
That's why I always say, when you're so low that you have to reach up to touch bottom, then come on to Code Red. We're ready for you. We'll take anybody. We don't care. I mean, anybody can join a challenge for any reason, any motivation. We aren't judging your motivation. What's your motivation? Maybe it is to make your boyfriend's ex-girlfriends or whatever jealous. But the truth is, people that do the best have a motivation that goes deeper. And usually they've tried everything, Christy, and it hasn't worked. And they're just like, they have to draw that line in the sand where they say here and no more. And the only difference between the My 600 Pound Life people and Christy is that Christy just draws her line in the sand in a different spot, guys. We're all humans. We all have human experiences. We all want to eat food like that. Trust me. We all want to have somebody. I want to lay in bed and have somebody bring Taco Bell to me. Yeah. Exactly. How do I get that deal? I mean, yeah, we all want, there's a part of us that's hedonistic that wants that. But the only difference is where you draw your line and where your motivation comes from. And I think, Christy, being able to see the reward down the road instead of the reward right in front of you.
I just got done doing some, we teamed up with Billy Jeffrey, who is the owner of 3 GNCs, Lewiston, Moscow, Pullman. And Billy has been a longtime supporter of Code Red, and we've been a longtime supporter of Billy. And we teamed up and did some media here recently. And and we just ping and pong so well together. We don't even need to practice. It's like Carrie and I, we just kind of, blah, blah, blah.
What?
And I said,
I'm teasing. It'll be the Christy and Billy show if I don't watch it.
Right. Yeah. You just swap out Billy for Carrie. No. And so Billy, at one point I said, I think it's been so long since you have felt hopeless and desperate that you don't understand where these people are coming from. You've been lean. You've maintained this lean, beautiful physique for over 20 years. You forget what it feels like. And that's the thing that makes Carrie and I and Code Red and all of our coaches and stuff so relatable, that we don't forget what it feels like to be that low and have that with the sadness and the depression and the feeling of hopelessness. And when you kind of remember that, then you can remember, hey, I don't ever want to go back there. But man, when you've been super lean and good looking for a huge majority of years, you forget. But Carrie and I, we don't forget. We struggle with it more than you think. And we have to have that deep why that keeps us going.
It's interesting. Ain't nobody coming to Code Red that's doing any swimsuit modeling that they aren't like, hi, like our niece, Ellie. She's so cute and she's 120 pounds. Like, hi, I'm Ellie. I'm going to be your Code Red coach. No, you aren't. You're gorgeous and you've never weighed over 125. So you're out of here. No, we're not hating on people that are beautiful and thin. That is not it. I'm just saying it helps to have, I've had people write to me, Christy, and be like, oh, you understand what it's like to have gastric surgery and fail. So for some reason, my story resonates with them. Whereas for some people, I don't resonate with them, but you do, being the heavy athlete. Your story, they're like, oh, Christy gets it. And if I were looking for a weight loss program, it was only based on Christy saying I was a heavy athlete, I'd have been like, well, I'm not an athlete now, and I'm heavy. No.
Right. Right. It's really important for us to provide the community with well-rounded leadership that really get it. People of wide variety of ages and come from different walks of life that can understand what you are going through, which I think we have done so well with Code Red. We have provided so many different senior leaders and coaches that can totally get you. But bottom line is, when ain't nobody looking and you're sitting alone and nobody's there, what is keeping you from going into the kitchen? Of course, we believe, let me just on a side note, you shouldn't be having this in your kitchen because you will go in there and have a weak moment. But what's keeping you from going into overeating on cashews? What's keeping you on track? It has to be something so far beyond those fuzzy feelings.
When you are in the bus, headed home from church camp, and the kumbayas have quieted down and everyone has their earphones in and listening to their cassette tapes. Okay, wait, that was just my church camp. And the lights are dark and it's kind of cold on the bus and you're curled up in your sleeping bag. Like, there's got to be something that keeps you moving forward. And that's what we mean today. It's a choice. It's not a feeling, guys. It might start with a feeling, and that's fine. But from there on out, it's got to be a choice. Many times I've gone to bed looking at my husband like this, thinking, love is a choice. Love is a choice. I might choose to sleep in the spare bed. No, but I'm just saying love is a choice. It's not about how I feel in that moment. If I'm frustrated with him or he's frustrated with me equally, it's got to be a choice when you head home from that camp experience.
You know, Joyce Meyer says it's so easy to serve God when we're all in this dome and this big auditorium, and everybody, 50,000 people around you, everybody's doing praise and worship, and everybody's praising God, and everybody's nice, and everybody. But can you continue serving God and go home when nothing got done and the dishes are stacked up and the house is a wreck? You know, and I will say also on the spouse note, my husband is 17 years older than me, and the years go by and I he's getting older and I think he's handsome and I love him to death and I respect him and love him more every year. I really actually do love him more than when I first met him. Aww. But as the age starts showing on all of us, as the age starts showing up on your spouse, you got to have something deeper because, your wedding photos, they don't look like your wedding photos. They don't look like when you just came out of the military or whatever. And that you need to have something solid and real and deep to keep you connected to your spouse because, when they start to maybe put on a little bit of weight in their midsection, or maybe they start to show wrinkles, or they start to slow down a little bit, or they couldn't do what they used to be able to do. Your love has got to be there and solid and strong and deep. Yeah. And you don't just take off and say, well, I'm going to cheat on you now and go find a younger dude because you're starting to show signs of aging, and that it can apply to so many areas of our lives.
I love Miles more than I did 10 years ago, just so you know. Now I've gotten to know him. I think he's great. But I do think that something has to be there. There has to be something of substance. Because the joke was, if the church joke was, are you going to be like an orange when you get squeezed? You can see what comes out. Then you know what you're really filled with. Well, guess what, guys? On weight loss, God bless, you're going to get squeezed.
Yes, you are.
God bless, you're going to get squeezed. And it's easy to drink your water when you're at Code Red Live and ain't nobody drinking nothing else. But when you go out to lunch with friends, your orange is going to get squeezed. Mm-hmm. So make sure it's filled up with Code Red. So when it squeezes, what's come out is just, I got my water. I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I'm totally fine. No, it's all right. I don't need to do the margaritas and the Taco Tuesdays and stuff. It's hard to stay strong. And that's why we do want you to surround yourself with like-minded people and to spend a little bit less time with people that don't live the kind of lifestyle you live, because you will find it more difficult to stay on the straight and narrow when you're surrounded by a bunch of people that maybe have your old life. I know that if you're in AA, I don't think you're allowed to even go back to those old places, the old bars and the old groups and your old people that you used to hang out with. I mean, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, it was funny, Christy. I was getting ready to that on the same thread. I was there is a clothing line that I like. I will not mention it. You introduced me to it, and they asked me to join their Facebook group. And it is all women who are struggling with their weight lifting really heavy weights. Now, I completely respect them. I think it's fine that I don't even have a problem with their weight. I don't care about any of that. But that's not where I'm headed with my journey. Mm-hmm. That's not where I'm headed. And so I was like, oh, this feels, and I completely respect them. So please don't write below this on YouTube. Gary doesn't respect. I do. It just is not where I'm heading. I need to be like, I think Christy should move to Kentucky. But beyond that is I need to be around people who are heading the direction I'm heading. The JJ Version says, if you want to be healthy, get yourself a really healthy friend who's that much healthier than you.
Yeah.
Because it levels up your game. And it's the same thing. When you're coming home from camp meeting, you got to find someone who will pray with you every day. When you're going Code Red, you got to find somebody that texts you and says, hey, Betty, how much water have you had today? And that is what will keep you. That was what will keep you more of a choice. If you have a friend that all they do is complain about their husband and how much they hate their husband, and you want to stay married, you might not want a friend like that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's really pouring into the wrong area of your life. Like I just mentioned this to somebody. I said,
yeah, you and I just talked about this.
Yeah, I said I'm really trying to stay on this path, and the messages I was getting from this person were making me take a different path, and I need to stay on this path. I got to surround myself with people who are going to help me stay on this path. And guys, it's got to be more of a choice every day than a feeling. You can't just rely on the feelings. The feelings will come and go. That is an unstable foundation. The foundation is a choice, and recommitting every day. Sometimes you have to recommit to your marriage. You have to recommit to Christ. You have to recommit to your health. We have to recommit to parenting. We have to recommit to different areas of life that we want to do well in.
Amen. I couldn't agree more. I love it. It is not about the way you feel. It is a choice you make. And I think if we can just kind of get that through our head, and you know that you're going to have to do the grind and make those choices every day, then it makes the journey easier, Christy.
Another choice I make, Carrie, is I choose to wear my blue light blocking glasses during the day when I find that I am going to be on my devices a lot. Like right now, I'm in front of a big computer and I have lights shining on me, and I'm surrounded with blue light. And so I notice that causes a lot of eye strain. So during the day, I wear my day wear Swannies, and during the night I wear the ones that Carrie has on, the night wear Swannies. And you need to get yourself a pair of blue light blocking glasses by going to swanwicksleep.com and using the code REBEL for 15% off. And so this has got to be a staple.
Oh, it's pretty much, it's not even debated, guys. It's like, should we have vitamin D? Guys, like, it's so obvious. Blue light is harmful. We've proven this. It's kind of like, do you take a shower every day? Yeah, you need to take a shower. Yeah. You need to have your blue light blocking glasses on.
This is not controversial.
It's a great investment. This is not hippity dippity or woo woo. We love Swanwick. Invest in your health today. Invest in a pair of glasses, and we give you some money off. So we love that. We give you
quite a bit. And so this is definitely a daily choice. I keep these by my bed, and then I keep these right here on my desk. And Carrie's got a bucket of them, like a little chicken that holds them or something. And it's got a little. It's so cute. Yeah, there it is. Okay, there it is. And she keeps all her glasses there. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we talked about making it a choice, not just going off your feelings. And this, again, applies to every single area of our life that we want to do well in.
Yes, it does. And again, if we can just take these little hints and tips that Christy and I give you, and apply them in some small way, you will see big rewards in the end.
Yeah, you really will. Thanks for joining us. And guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you're not subscribed already, please be sure to do that right now. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could do me a quick favor and rate and review this podcast. That would be just so helpful. Speaking of health, let me know if I can help you. Go to coderedlifestyle.com, check out my programs, and see what we can do for you. Until next time, Rebel on.